Welcome to the Purposeful CEO podcast, the space for passionate, driven leaders who aren't just here to build a business, but to lead a movement. If you're here to make a real impact, to lead with purpose and create a legacy that lasts, then you are in the right place. I'm Emma Campbell, leadership coach, mindset mentor, purpose activator, and mama to two cheeky little munchkins. And for the past 15 years, I've helped small business CEOs scale their team without breaking their culture and unlock their team's full potential. And my mission has always been simple: to help those doing good in the world to do even more good and inspire belief in what's possible for you, because it's all so possible. Let each episode be your reminder to pause from the hustle and come back to you, your why, your purpose, your reason for why you started, to trust that inner knowing and to lead from that place, because when you do, everyone wins. Let's dive in. Hello. So lovely to be here. I wasn't going to record this particular podcast today, but I have just come back from a 3-night silent meditation retreat over the weekend just been. And I was just thinking about how important some of the things that I learned and experienced were, that I just had to share with you guys. Okay, so let me set the scene for you. 3 nights. This is the second one I've done. The other one I did was 4 nights. And so this one was a tiny bit shorter, but still amazing. 3 nights, no talking whatsoever, no phones. So we all switched them to airplane mode or turned them off. No books. You could have your journals, but just yoga, nature. So it was out in the forest, out at the Shambhala retreat, down in Margaret River, nestled in this beautiful, beautiful forest. The most delicious, nurturing, vegetarian food, and meditation and sleeping and lots of heart-opening work. And I wanted to share my one biggest takeaway from the entire weekend. And it's the same takeaway that I take away from every single retreat that I go on. And I feel like I haven't talked about it enough. And I believe it is just everything. And I'm not even exaggerating when I say that. And I also want to blow you some, and I'll tell you what that takeaway is soon. But I also want to blow your mind with some stats that you may not know, and that I was reminded of when I went on retreat, and they blew my mind again, even though I've heard them 3 or 4 times over, and I feel like they might just change your life forever. So more on that very soon. One question I was going to ask is, I'm so curious to hear, and maybe this is an interesting one for you to reflect on for yourself, but what actually came up for you when you heard the idea of a silent meditation retreat? Because people's reactions are so funny. Some people get really intrigued and excited and think, oh my God, that sounds so nice. Some people are like, that sounds like the worst thing that I could ever do. And that sounds like hell. And I think it has it sort of tells you probably you're leaning towards extroversion versus introversion, or perhaps it could also be an indication of how busy your mind is or how busy your life is. But my best friend, who was off the extrovert scale, she'd be at the 11 or 12 out of 10 mark. When I told her about this, she's like, I am so happy for you, Em. And she's like, and I couldn't think of anything worse. I will never go on that. Which I really respect, because we are different in that sense. And for me, a silent meditation retreat is actually pure heaven. And I guess this maybe tells me that I lean towards the introversion end of the scale, but I don't think it's that simple, but I think that's probably a part of it. Like I love silence and I love time on my own. And I can definitely do the social thing and switch it on. So much of my work is about talking and presenting and all of that. But I need a lot of filling up my battery again after switching it on. So it drains my battery pretty fast going to events or being on. I often find like in my coaching work, that is like energy expending, but also energy fulfilling. Because when I'm in the moment with a client or even in workshops, sometimes when we're doing quite deep work, I find that it can fill up my cup as well as drain it at the same time because the work itself is it's so deep and it's so like it's not surface level and it's not like forced small chat type thing, which is often what can drain an introvert's cup. But anyway, that's a whole another topic, introvert versus extrovert. But I just found like being a mum, being a business owner, friend, daughter, wife, all the roles that we play. I'm sure I don't need to tell you, the joy, or I'm sure you don't need to understand just how much joy there was in not having to do anything for anyone or have anything required of me at all for an entire weekend. No, mum. Oh my God, the mums. Oh, I'm so appreciative, but also, oh my God, so many. No, like, because I'm definitely, I can lean towards the people pleasing end of the spectrum as well. And when you're in pure silence, you can't people please. Like you don't interact with anyone. So there's no one that you have to please. You just like look after yourself. There's no like forced small talk, no meaningless kind of like forced chat. Like you're literally just in pure being. So the day would look like waking up at probably about 6:30, making a cup of tea, sitting out on the deck and looking at the forest. Sorry if this is triggering, by the way, for anyone who is like really, really desiring a trip like this. And then at 7:15, we would go for our morning yoga session. And that was probably like the most active we were for the entire day. And I always really struggled in the yoga. I was like, oh, I can't be bothered. But then we do some meditation and then they would make breakfast for you. And then often after breakfast, like some delicious porridge and yogurt and fruit and nuts and stuff. I'd usually have like a little sleep on one of the couches. Like the first day, I literally just slept after I'd had breakfast. I slept during the 3-hour break. And it was just a mix of like yoga, meditation, eating, yoga, meditation, eating, not necessarily in that order. Lots of yin yoga, which is like really slow and kind of like stretchy and more so like on the floor. And it was just like so much being rather than doing, if you know what I mean. Like you just really felt like you could just be. How often do you get to just be? Like if you're anything like me in my life, it is like 5% of my day, if that. Oh my God. So like during the intention setting circle, right at the start, like we did this like little circle and we talked about, why we were here. And one of the girls said that it was her intention for the session to do like less human doing and more human being. And I was like, oh, that's so good. I wish that I'd said that. But that was like 100% if I could like wrap it up in a nutshell. It's like more human being and less human doing. More beingness, like just being able to just chill for a bit, and it's funny because like if you had seen me on my way down to the retreat, like I'd had a giant Friday morning, client presentations. I think I had a session with my own therapist. Oh my God, I'd like gotten home, had to be down there at 5. It's like more than a 3-hour drive. I forgot that I had to vote before I went down. My husband reminded me. I'm like running into a voting station, coffee in hand, bag half packed, forgotten my toothbrush, forgotten a phone charger. Oh my God, like I was the opposite of Zen. And like the opposite of getting myself ready for like a beautiful retreat. And on the way down, my maps had taken me along a bloody dirt corrugated road in my husband's dad's beautiful white car. And I was just like, oh my God, like what else is going to happen this afternoon? But anyway, long story short, I arrive about an hour late. Sorry to the retreat people. Things just didn't work out for me. And needless to say, I hadn't followed the whole like arrive, rested, and relaxed. And so the first day, I basically used it all to recover. But I was also like, so okay with that, because ultimately that's what retreat is for. It's like, it's for you, it's for whatever you need. And I didn't owe anyone anything. So it was totally okay for me to just sleep the first day, which was just amazing. And I'm, still kind of, I guess, grasping this whole and learning how to be in a state of beingness more. And of course, that becomes more challenging the more, I guess, responsibilities that come into your life. And I'm so curious to hear, perhaps you can reflect to yourself right now, like when was the last time you had a day or even an hour or even maybe 10 minutes that were like all to yourself with no demands, no requirements, no one calling for you, no one requiring something of you, completely unplugged, just you being, just you receiving. I wonder if that feels like something familiar to you and normal and part of your day, or does this feel like something that might be helpful for you to think about finding a way to kind of slowly but surely draw into your life? I'll be really honest here. I'm still learning myself how to really receive and feel comfortable receiving, as in like, what do I mean by that? So as someone who's always prided herself on working really hard, being a hard worker, and that's how I get my results, that's how I achieve things. I work hard, I'm organized, I put in the work. I'm personally still learning the art of being looked after by others, by receiving without having absolutely smashed myself, or really like relaxing into being taken care of and really receiving support. Even like, so receiving can be anything, right? Receiving can be receiving a compliment, receiving a gift, receiving money, receiving a massage, receiving love, receiving care. And I believe that it takes practice, particularly if you are a bit of an achiever or pride yourself on being quite independent. 3s, 8s, and 2s, I'm looking at you. And if you don't know what I mean by these numbers that I've just said, I'm talking about the Enneagram personalities quiz. I've actually got a free link in the show notes below. So if you don't know what your numbers are, go and take that one. But like 3s, 8s, and 2s, I'm going to point the finger at you right now. And I'm going to say you'll probably really struggle with receiving. You might even be like, what the hell does that even mean, Em? With 3s being like the epic hyperachievers who are always doing, achieving, winning, pushing, being productive, they will really struggle to just sit back, do less, and receive. 8s who are like the super strong, invulnerable leaders who do everything themselves and they don't like to rely on others, 8s are going to struggle with receiving. 2s, 2s who are like the caring personality types, they love to care for others, but struggle and will struggle with receiving care themselves. And they'll tell all the stories to avoid themselves getting care. So, anyway, the reason I'm recording this podcast is that I think this is a really, really important piece in our society, in our leadership, in our lives, and that there's this thing during retreats, like this one giant takeaway that I always land with, and which is just everything. And it's about the power of the heart. And let me explain what this means. So, as a society, you just look around, and I know you won't disagree, that we are very yang. What does yang mean? So, it's kind of like a yoga term. Yang means go, 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 active, achieving, doing. It's often what is quite referred to as kind of like the masculine. The yang is about performing. It's about progress in a kind of straightforward, linear way. It's about really focus on achievement, on results, on outcomes. It's about the mind, about strategizing. It's about thinking. And it's often like the yang is very up in our heads. It's the strong one, the pusher, the achiever. And the opposite of that, or the other end of the spectrum, is what's called yin. So yin being more of the feminine, yin being more about slowing, receiving, enjoying, kind of softening, focusing on less about outcomes and more about like process and enjoying the process. Yin is more about, rather than like linear, straight, predictable results, it's more about like a circular and cyclical way of living. You think about like a woman's menstrual cycle, or the moon, like lunar cycle, or even like our weather cycle. Like most of our world actually rolls in cycles, but a lot of our society doesn't follow that. And so the yin is more about being, and the yang is more about doing. So yin is more about being, yang is about doing. And we need both, right? 100% we need both. Couldn't sit in yin all day, even though that would be pretty lovely. But it's just that the balance is so out. Like, how much yin do you think you get in your life? That slow receiving, being, feeling, being present, experiencing. It's like very, very heart-led. It's heart open. How much of your day do you think that you're in that space? 5%, 10%, 20%? Like, I pride myself on being a heart-led individual, and I would say I'm still probably only there 10 to 15% of the day. Like, it's hard, right? Like, in a society that doesn't value that, the costs are massive though. Like, in a society that leans towards that real yang, do, status, achievement, productivity. And don't get me wrong, I froth on the yang. Like, I love being in my masculine, like achieving, doing, ticking things off my list, smashing goals, productivity, strategizing, getting shit done. Like, it feels so good. One of the girls during the retreat and I, like a new friend that I had made, we were laughing about like just how good it feels, like being a woman, being in your masculine, because you feel bloody strong and you feel invincible. You feel like it just feels really, really satisfying. And too much of anything can really whack us out of balance. Like if we live in that yang of do, we never really get time for rest and recovery and rejuvenation, which is all about the yin. You know, if we're in our yang all the time, that's when we run into burnout. That's when we like smash all our systems. We overwork, we get sick. And the other part of it is that we often feel a bit empty. We kind of don't feel that deep sense of like joy and connection and fulfillment and, you know, love for our work and our lives because we're living out of our heads, because that's what the yang is all about. The yang is about the head. And the head doesn't feel, right? Like the head doesn't have any emotions. Like the head thinks, the heart feels. The heart feels. The heart knows. The heart has that deeper sense of intuition. And if we're living up in our heads, we can't feel that deeper sense of like purpose and meaning and connection. That's where we need our hearts to come in. And so here's the thing. I want to share some crazy and amazing stats with you that I bet you probably don't know, which could just change your life. So I want to tell you about the heart and how it may just be more important than our brains. Let me back that up. So the heart has a magnetic field 5,000 times stronger than the brain. Let me say that again. The heart has a magnetic field 5,000 times stronger than the brain. So the heart's electromagnetic field is the strongest field produced by the body, up to 5,000 times stronger than the brain's magnetic field. It can extend as far as 3 to 6 feet. And actually, I would even question that particular stat, and I would say it's probably even further from some of my work that I've done studying Dr. Joe Dispenza and his whole his whole sort of like theory and body of work. But the Heart Math Institute says that they found evidence to show that the heart's electromagnetic field can extend 3 to 6 feet outside the body. So influencing the energy around us and even other people's heart rhythms. And it's why you'll know this feeling. It's why there's certain people in our lives that we can literally feel, like when we're around them, we literally feel that warm, loving energy, like we are influenced by their magnetic field. And you'll know those people in your lives. They're the really like loving, warm, positive, caring individuals. And I can definitely think of a few in my life that as soon as I'm around them, I feel like my whole system relaxes and opens. And when you're in this and I'll talk a little bit more about heart coherence and what that means, but when the heart is strong and it's like pushing out this strong magnetic field, that is a magnet for people and opportunities, and it is very highly influential to the people around you too, in a positive way. So the heart's magnetic field, 5,000 times stronger than the brain. The heart's electrical field is 100 to 500, perhaps even more times greater than the brain's as well. So that's the electrical field. And this means that the heart plays a much more significant role in regulating the body's overall energetic state than our brains. And don't you think we put such an emphasis on our brains being like the king, like our minds just being this like, you know, amazing, strong regulator of our whole system, and that everything comes down to the brain. But what we're actually learning is that so the heart's electrical field is 100 to 500 times greater than the brain's. So let me elaborate on this. So let's take one step back here as well, and just remember that if we're looking at like the development of the body, our heart was the first part of our body to form. So not the brain, not any other part of our body. Our heart was the first part of our body to form when we were developing in our mother's womb. And that heartbeat is like the first, glimpse of life that radiates through the entire system, right? That like gives it life, that radiates out that like spark of magnetic radiation that lights up the whole system. So the heart sends more signals to the brain than the brain sends to the heart. How crazy is that? I'm going to say that again. The heart sends more signals to the brain than the brain sends to the heart. So this means that the heart has its own nervous system. It's like its own brain. It has over 40,000 neurons, and it's called the heart brain or the intrinsic cardiac nervous system. And these neurons allow the heart to communicate with the brain and even influence thoughts, emotions, and decision making. And in fact, what they have found is that 90% of the signals between the heart and the brain actually travel upward, meaning the heart is actually doing the leading, not just responding. And I think this is bloody giant. 90% of the signals between the heart and the brain travel upwards, meaning the heart is the leader. The heart is the epicenter of life. The heart is the one making the decisions. The heart is the one leading us forward. It's not just responding to what the head is saying. The heart is the one calling the shots. Isn't that wild? Like, it just kind of blows everything up around like what I thought I knew. And the heart can make decisions independently from the brain. So there's this amazing, like if you're interested in this stuff, the Heart Math Institute is a great place to go and kind of learn more about this. So research from the Heart Math Institute suggests that the heart can process information, can learn, can remember, and can make decisions without needing input from the brain. And this supports the idea of like this heart intelligence, like an intuitive knowing that is beyond logic. The heart's rhythm syncs with others around us. So you'll know this. So when you're in close proximity with others, you'll be able to sense that, like when everyone's connecting, maybe everyone's had a few drinks, someone's talking about something that they love and they kind of like, they come alive. Like the heart's electromagnetic field can influence and synchronize with the people around us. And it's why you can often feel someone's energy before they even speak, and how you can intuitively get a sense about someone and whether you're going to get along with them, whether you're going to like them before they even open their mouth. Like it's all, this is the heart. Like the heart is why, because of its magnetic field. And we as humans we all have like a spidey sense for the magnetic field. Like dogs and animals have a way stronger sense of it. We still have one, but it's not as developed as like a lot of animals do. It's like why, sometimes you'll see a dog like put their head up really fast because they have like sensed something far away that we, like our ears or our bodies and our like systems haven't sensed. Like dogs have got anyway, that's like a side fact. But studies show that when people feel compassion and love, their heart rhythms become more coherent. So they go into heart coherence, which positively influences those around them. So how can you, start to bring your heart into coherence and really start to take advantage of some of these benefits? The research from the Heart Math Institute shows that it's emotions like love, appreciation, gratitude. It's all of those kind of like higher level positive emotions that open the heart and create that sense of heart coherence, strengthening the heart's electromagnetic field. And that's what increases that emotional resilience, clearer thinking, and even like improved immune function. And so I just really wanted to share these amazing facts with you because modern science is now finally catching up to what ancient wisdom has always known. That the heart is more than just a pumping blood around the body. It's actually the powerful epicenter of intelligence, knowing, energy, and connection. And for me personally, every time I go to one of these retreats, my biggest takeaway is always exactly the same. I notice that when I get out of my head, which takes a while sometimes, and I actually spend some time sitting in the heart space, just meditating, breathing, bringing my focus back to my heart, allowing my thoughts to go off into the abyss and thinking about what I'm having for dinner or when I need to do a wee or, what that noise was in the corner of the room. And like every time I get that distraction, I just slowly bring it back to my heart space. I slowly notice my head and my thoughts stop spinning. Things get quiet. I feel more present. I feel more open. I feel more myself. And I feel more free. And the way that I would describe it every single time, it feels like I'm coming back to myself. Like I've gone somewhere else on a little holiday and I've come back to who I really am, to my truth. It feels like coming home to my real self. Do you know what I mean when I say that? Does that resonate for you? Because if you are a leader and you are hearing some of this stuff and you're feeling just as wowed as me, then I would suggest, I would encourage, I would maybe even go so far as to recommend investing in getting into your heart space, into getting into heart coherence, because the benefits are everything. So let me just really quickly say, what is heart coherence? So heart coherence is when your heart, your mind, your body, your emotions are all in sync. They're all working in flow together. It's when your heart rate variability, which is like HRV, which is like the rhythm of your heartbeats, becomes more smooth and rhythmic and flow-like and creates this sense of like openness and connection to the rest of the body and allows all different parts of your body to talk to each other. It's scientifically a measurable state of peak performance. So for any of the high performers out there that are like, yep, the emotional piece is nice, but like, tell me why I should do this from like, more of an achievement standpoint, then I would say being in heart coherence is scientifically a measurable state of peak performance, as well as emotional stability and mental clarity. Being in heart coherence allows you to make better intuitive decisions, to be able to like trust that deep, unexplainable knowing that like logic just can't explain. It allows you better resilience and emotional balance. You can also positively influence your team culture. So a leader's emotional state directly impacts the energy of the team. So knowing that a magnetic field of a leader radiates 3 to 6 feet outside the body, leaders literally set the tone and the vibe for their teams and culture. So if a leader is stressed, their teams will literally feel that and mirror it through their state without even realizing that they're doing it. And so your number one job as leader almost becomes to come into heart coherence, to work on your own calm and know the flow on effect of that will be wild. And people don't just follow leaders because they're smart, right? They follow leaders who are purposeful, who are passionate, who are deeply connected to their mission, who care, and they have they're kind of like magnetic, aren't they? And you might have wondered, why are some leaders magnetic and others aren't? This is why. Some leaders are deeply connected to their heart, and it's not something that you're either born with or you're not born with. Like, this is a skill and a practice and an ability that we can all cultivate, is like heart coherence. And I'm going to give you a tool on how to do this in a second. But those leaders who are the most magnetic and influential, they're the ones who are in heart coherence. They are leading from that heart place, because purpose and like aligning your team behind your purpose and aligning them behind your vision, it's not just an intellectual exercise. It's a felt sense, an emotional driver that radiates from the heart. So getting into that place and, speaking from your heart, connecting in with your heart-led why, leading from that place, that is the piece that will most strongly magnetize, inspire, motivate, uplift your team way beyond what just literal words will do. Because you'll have a stronger, positive electromagnetic field actually influencing physically those people around you. And the opposite of heart coherence is stress and fear. Living out of the brain leads to chaos in the brain, poor decision-making, anxiety, exhaustion, burnout, all of the things, obviously the things that we don't need. So the question is, this is all lovely. How the hell do I get into heart coherence though? Okay, glad you asked. So you can Google this on YouTube, or I can talk you through it really quickly and easily here. But so the Heart Math Institute, if you put into the Google search box, Heart Math Institute, Heart Coherence, one of those two things, it'll pop up with a little 5-minute exercise that'll guide you through this. But basically it's really simple. There's like 3 key components to it. The first piece is to think of something that you're grateful for, or to try and cultivate a feeling of gratitude or appreciation for something in your life. To bring awareness to your heart, so to focus on the heart and then breathe in and out of that space. Long and slow. And if you can kind of like count in for 4 and out for 4, in for 4, out for 4, so even inhale and even exhale. And to just keep doing that, maybe like for 5 minutes or until you feel something shift, that will get you into heart coherence. So 1, think of something like you're grateful for, and then 2, breathe in and out of the heart space. Equal length breaths if you can. I'll drop a link to that video for the Heart Math Institute as well if you're interested. But it's really powerful, and there are just so many benefits to it. So it's just so worth the 5 minutes a day. And I truly, truly believe that this is something that everyone should know. Not just for well-being, but if you think about our society and our world as a whole, and all of the problems out there at the moment, the kind of like funky ways that technology is developing and how technology is going so far, but I feel like our hearts are kind of caught behind. I feel like this is the one thing that if everyone in the world could do, come back to their hearts, that this would be the thing that could help balance our entire society. Big call, right? But if you think about it, we're all so yang all the time. We're all operating out of our heads, trying to win, trying to get ahead, trying to achieve, achieve, win. And I feel like everyone is burning out, right? And we're all asking why. Like, why are we working so hard? Like, what is the purpose of this? And I believe that it's not about getting rid of the yang. It's just about bringing a little bit more of that heart, a little bit more of that yin back into our society, and connecting more about the deeper purpose and the meaning in our work, to enjoy more of what we do, to find a deeper sense of connection with our world and with the people that we work from. And I just feel like this will create a world that is more caring, that is more kind, that is more loving, and will still be achieving all the goals, getting all the things done, but we'll have the benefits of enjoying the process as we get there. And I just believe this is the best place to start. 5 minutes a day, breathing into the heart. The ripple effects are huge, right? Let me know if you're up for it. I'm up for it. I'm going to be committing to half an hour a day of heart coherence breathing, and let me know. Send me a DM on Instagram, Emma_Lou_Campbell. Send me an email. Send me I don't know. That's probably it. Send me in anything. Send me it through your magnetic field. But let me know if you're up for the challenge. 5 minutes a day of opening your heart to change the world. I know that's a big call, but I'm ready to stand by it. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. I love you. I love connecting with you. I love that you're here doing this work. I'm here for you, and I hope you have the most wonderful day. Sending so much love. Thank you so much for listening. If you got value from this episode, I've got a little request for you. Either share it with a fellow leader who you know needs this in their life, or leave a super quick review. It only takes a few seconds, yet it helps us so much in expanding our reach and our impact and bringing on even bigger names onto the potty to then inspire your growth and your journey. I love and appreciate you so much. Thank you in advance, and I can't wait to see you next time.